This time on the Austin Healey channel, we learn to wipe. I'm excited about this next project because it's one single thing that I get to focus on and ignore everything else. It's something I've been trying to put together for a long time and just haven't gotten all the parts together. What is it, you ask? It's the windshield wiper motor. And this one came with all the cables and gears and stuff. I had tried to order parts for it, and you can get a few of the replacement parts, but not enough. I tried to buy a rebuilt motor, but you have to have a core to exchange. See, when I was a kid, you could buy stuff, and if you didn't have a core, you just paid the charge, and you were good. But it seems at least over here, you have to have the core, and they want the core even before they'll send you the part. It's a very different system, and it makes it hard if you're missing parts. And my car was missing a few of these hard to find parts. So I've already put some power to it, and it doesn't run, but I think there's going to be an easy solution to fix that. So first thing we're going to do is take it all apart. So with that apart, we're going to put some power to it and see if it was just all the cables and stuff keeping it from moving. It's drawing a lot of power, but it's not moving. Okay, that's all right. We'll keep taking it apart. Could be brushes that are an issue or a couple other things. It does worry me. This feels like it's been taken apart before. So, probably someone couldn't get it running. Worst case scenario, we end up with a core, and I have to buy a new one. Grease in there is pretty hard. Oh good, it's a circlip. We get to see if we can throw that across the shop. Okay, for the time being we're going to leave that in there. There's a bunch of ball bearings in there. I don't want to go chasing them. But we are down to just the motor. So let's see if the motor spins. It does. Let's see if it spins with power. It's spinning! That's very good news. Picking up speed. This part here is painted with like a crinkly paint, and apparently on concourse that's a very important thing that they check. So we're going to try to keep the paint and maybe just touch up these spots where it's worn off. This actual motor was on a Triumph and not on a big Healey, so it's crossing brands, but it's the same. It's the right model number. So I think it was a TR2 or TR3. I can't remember which one. But it's the right one for this. Ew. It's the right one for the BN1. I don't know if it's the exact year or not, but the brushes look good. That's good news. We're gonna go ahead and go all the way down. Maybe we can just take the brushes off this way. That seems the way to do it. And then we can pull out the armature. Which looks really good. This bolt. Let's see if we can get it out. Got one of my favorite yogurt cups and some petroleum. We're going to start with a test to make sure this isn't going to lift paint. Just maybe down here in the corner. Yeah, it looks okay. So this motor I couldn't find in Europe. I used one. Might have been able to find one in the UK, but there was one in LA, California. So had a bit of trouble getting eBay settings to work out, but the seller was really cool and worked through the process with me. And shipped it over here, and it was supposed to show up in, well, in another 20 days, but it arrived early. It cost me more in shipping and import than the motor was, than the motor cost, but what can you do? It was still cheaper than a rebuilt motor, and it came with the wheel boxes and stuff. So I think I did all right with it. I really don't like buying stuff that's really far away like that, but you know, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. Go in little circles like the dentist tells you. Let the bristles get in there and do their job. I'm using the petroleum because I haven't found a really good degreaser that's not solvent based. I just like in the States I'd go for like Simple Green, but they won't sell that in Europe because it's supposed to be toxic or something, but I can't imagine it's any worse than using petroleum. It's just funny, it says it's petroleum, but it's like mineral spirits, but it just melts the grease away and takes all that dirt with it. So the question is to decide how deep of a restore to do. You know, granted, this sits under the dashboard. Nobody really can see it unless they're under there. Definitely want it clean, but I don't know if we need to go full tilt on it or not. We'll kind of see what we gotta do. There's so many like brand new parts on this car. I worry about it losing its character, its soul. I think we've talked about that before. This happens with house restorations a lot. People fall in love with a house because it has character, and they fix it up and replace everything, and then they're surprised it's lost its character because it looks like a new house. Restoration, it's not just a technical job. There's an art to it. You have to feel what the designers felt and try to recreate that feeling. Well, it certainly looks better than it did. You see, right? I don't know if you can see it, but right through here it says Lucas on it. Okay, not perfect, but certainly cleaner. Let's clean up some other bits. The back on this seems to be Bakelite. These little screws need to come out and get cleaned. That's looking nice. Probably gonna buff it out. I've stayed away from this DR marking. I don't know if it's original. It kind of looks like a stamp though, so we'll try to leave that there. So now let's see what we can do with this. And those ball bearings in there. Oh, they're not ball bearings, they're needle bearings. They're gonna go all over the place. I don't like taking those apart because they're going to be hard to get back together, but the grease in there is so bad, it just really has to be worked on. What do we got going on here? Is it 2 layers of needle bearings? Yeah, it looks like 2 layers of needle bearings. So these are the top ones. They're the same size, look like it. I don't know if any of that recorded, but there's 2 sets of pins, needle bearings. The first one goes under here, and I packed it with grease, and then using the tweezers, put them all in there in a circle, then put this in with that shaft in place. I packed the grease around here and then put the other ones in here. I currently have 2 washers on here, but I'm not sure if they both came from there. So I'm going to check the video to see where that in fact came from, and then we can put the C-clip on it. And then that will be done. But already, it spins so much nicer than it did before. You know, when things are clean and freshly greased, makes a difference. Alright. So, this just gets 1 washer. This one goes for that guy. So, now we gotta get the C-clip on there without shooting it across the shop. We're gonna use a socket here to keep pressure on that, to keep it up in position. Got the C-clip. I'm going to use a nut driver to push it down. Yeah, just like that. Sweet. Alright, I got video confirmation that washer goes back there. And then this goes in there. Next, we can put the cap on here. Now, this had a bunch of grease all over it. Ew, that needs cleaned up. It's gross. Yeah, isn't that better? I'm really not comfortable with the insulation that was on there. I'll put on some shrink tube. It's not concourse, but it's better than burning your car down. There, I feel much better about that. Ew, these are rusty. Or dirty, I'm not sure which. Let's put some power to it and see if it moves. Excellent. I was able to get this cover off, and I thought while it's off, I'll put a coat of paint over it. It'll be a thin coat of spray paint. It'll get these areas where it's worn off, but it will also keep the texture that is still existing there. It's a light restoration. How about that? One of the parts I was able to order new is the bit that goes inside, and this is what gets pushed back and forth and makes the wheel boxes turn. So I think I'm going to use the new one, though it's significantly longer than the old one, but you know, it's always easier to make things shorter. So this bit actually just needs cleaned up and can go back into there. Next, yeah, it just barely turns. Yeah. I think the next step is to take this apart. Now, if you've never been into one of these, basically, this hooks to the motor. It pushes it back and forth, which makes the wipers go back and forth. They are very, very stiff, though. So we're going to try and get that out. Oh man, that's tough. Yeah, no wonder that motor wouldn't move it. Then we'll clean that all up, put it back together. Here's something interesting. This one has the piece. See, this goes on here. This gets pushed up under the shroud, and then there's a chrome piece that goes on top and a nut, and that holds it in place. So this one has this piece. This one's missing one, so we're going to have to do something about that. Probably make a new one out of a piece of pipe. I thought about ways of casting one out of aluminum, but you know, my forge is out of action right now. My foundry. So, what are we going to do about cleaning this? I'm running out of grease. Oh my God, it spins. Fantabulous. Now, in case you're wondering how the windshield wiper attaches, these have a little nut on them. Looks like a compression fitting, and that fits on there. You tighten up the nut and it stays. I'm pretty happy how this turned out. The spray paint kept the texture, it glossed it up, and it covered the bare metal parts. How about that? Then once this goes on, we'll be looking pretty good. Let's start some assembly. Start with a small tube. It's going to hook in here. Take some more grease, smear it all over the place. Now this can go on. And I'll admit, I'm missing one of these little screws. But for now, this is going to be okay. And we have one of these clips. It's going to go on like that. Now that goes on. And another clip. And just because I can't wait, put some power on it, see if it moves around. It's working! And there we go, one lightly restored windshield wiper rack. I'm happy how it came out. It's not, I don't know, it doesn't look brand new, but it still looks very nice. This here I just painted. You know, it's under the dash, but this is the right color for it. Everything else was polished up. This was painted. Everything else really just cleaned. Now I still need one of these. These go on here, and then that sets the height and traps it in there. But what I'm going to use is a little piece of pipe. So it's like a 1 inch, half-inch pipe, and I'm just going to cut out a section and then notch it like this. It should be okay. It should be very close. Yeah, okay, 50-50 chance I got it wrong. I have to flip these over. If you put one on this way and another one on the other way, you end up with the wipers going different directions. That's actually why the wipers on my Sprite are so funny. But I put them on somehow that way, and they work like that, which I thought was kind of cool, so I left it that way. You know, make it your own. And it was going so well. The the part that goes between the motor and the first wheel box is too short. I guess it's shorter on a TR2. So I need to get a longer one, because this is as close as I can get it to fit. The tubes that came off of here, these flexible ones, were the wrong size, which I kind of expected them to be, but I was hoping they weren't. Anyway, so I've had to modify them. Originally there was the short one that went here, but as you can see, it really needs to be much longer for it all to line up correctly. So these ends come off pretty simply, and I transported them from there over to this one. This used to be the long one. It will now go in here and play that part. Then you have the first wheel box here, and to connect the wheel boxes together, I'm going to take a trick from the Sprite windshield wipers and use a piece of aluminum tube. They just use a piece of tube that has a flare in the end, and that the flare holds it in the wheel box. And then the reason I used this and cut this one up is because this one, from where this mounts up to the first wheel box, has a bit of a curve to it, and the space between the two wheel boxes is a straight shot. So this won't have to turn, this won't have to bend, so nice and straight. So, and then I can use this little bit on the very end where the cable stuff sticks out. So for that, I've had to make a new little bracket to go on the end of the last wheel well. That's what I've been doing. This is not concourse. This is a temporary measure until I can figure out where to get this tube, this sort of tube. But this will get the windshield wipers working and pass control technique so I can get it on the road. So that's why I'm doing it. Also, it'll be fairly easy to switch out without, taking the entire motor and stuff all apart. You just got to go in between the wheel boxes. Okay, so that's where we are. That's what I'm doing.
If you want to come along on the ride as we complete this project, click the subscribe button. If you want YouTube to tell you every time there's a new video, click the alarm bell. Thanks for watching, and your support is very much appreciated.